William had always lived in a world of perfection. His towering penthouse, sleek cars, and private jet were symbols of the life he had meticulously built, yet no amount of wealth could prepare him for the news that arrived on a crisp autumn morning. His wife, Margaret, had gone into labor unexpectedly, and the hospital called him to rush immediately. Heart pounding, he felt a rare vulnerability as he sped through the city streets, the skyline blurring past like a dream he never wanted to wake from. The delivery room was tense. Doctors and nurses moved swiftly, their faces set in professional neutrality, but William's eyes searched desperately for reassurance. Then came the moment he would never forget: the twins were born. Both girls. Beautiful, delicate, yet the doctor's solemn expressions told a story that no words could soften. The twins were paralyzed from the waist down. William's heart sank as he watched Margaret, pale and trembling, reach for the babies. Tears streaked down her face as she whispered, "What do we do, William?" William felt anger, fear, and helplessness swirl inside him like a storm. The doctors explained the situation with careful calmness. The paralysis was congenital, there was no immediate cure. Therapy could help, perhaps, but the road would be grueling. Margaret's face crumpled, a fragile mask of despair, and William felt an unfamiliar sensation: powerless. All his wealth, his influence, his networks, none of it mattered here. He could not write a check to make his daughters walk. As the weeks passed, the mansion he had once felt like a sanctuary became a labyrinth of sorrow. Margaret withdrew into herself, consumed by guilt and fear for the girls. William tried to hold her, but he was learning that money could not mend the cracks in the human heart. Nights became long and lonely, punctuated by the soft cries of the twins. Yet amidst the grief, one person shone like a beacon in the darkness: Lily, the black maid who had been with the family for years. Her presence was quiet yet commanding in its gentleness, and her love for the children seemed boundless. William had always noticed Lily, of course. She moved with a calm grace, tended to the household with meticulous care, and possessed a warmth that seemed almost impossible to teach. But he had never truly understood the depth of her compassion until now. One morning, exhausted from sleepless nights and emotional turmoil, William arrived in the nursery to check on the twins. Margaret was asleep, curled up on the sofa, and Lily was kneeling beside the babies, humming softly, gently lifting their tiny limbs, encouraging small movements that even the doctors had told him were nearly impossible at this stage. "What are you doing?" William asked, his voice brittle with surprise. Lily looked up at him with a serene smile, helping them believe they can do more than the doctors say. Sometimes, love and faith are more powerful than medicine. Her words struck him like lightning. William had lived his life believing that control and wealth dictated outcomes. Now he was confronted with a truth he had never considered: genuine care, consistency, and unwavering patience could achieve miracles where money could not. For hours, he watched as Lily encouraged the twins to wiggle their fingers, lift their heads, and even attempt small kicks. The progress was tiny, almost imperceptible, but it was real. Over the next few days, William began observing more closely. Lily would talk to the twins as if they were capable of understanding every word, narrating stories of faraway lands, encouraging them to imagine themselves running through fields of flowers or dancing under the stars. He noticed the joy in their eyes, tiny smiles that broke through the veil of their condition, smiles that Margaret hadn't been able to coax. The realization hit him: Lily was doing what no amount of money, therapy, or technology could achieve. She was giving his daughters hope. One evening, exhausted and emotionally drained, William found himself standing outside the nursery, watching Lily cradle both twins in her arms. Her singing was soft, almost a lullaby, and yet it seemed to fill the entire mansion with warmth. Tears blurred his vision. He felt shame for underestimating her, for taking her presence for granted all these years. She was not just a maid, not just an employee, she was a guardian, a guide, and perhaps the most important person in his daughters' lives at this fragile moment. As he turned to leave, he overheard her whisper, "You are stronger than you think, my babies." Your wings may not work yet, but you will fly someday. Something inside William shifted. That night, he could not sleep, but he also could not stop thinking about Lily's words. The realization that love, dedication, and unwavering faith could transcend physical limitations was both humbling and inspiring. He knew, in that moment, that his life had been
Days
forever
turned
changed,
into weeks,
not
and
by
William
money,
found
power,
himself
or
spending more
status,
time in the
but by
nursery
the courage
than he
and
ever
heart
had
of a
imagined
woman he had
possible.
always overlooked. At first, he felt awkward, unsure how to hold the twins, how to soothe their cries, or how to offer anything beyond his presence. But Lily guided him patiently, showing him how to support their tiny bodies, how to encourage small movements, and how to speak to them with hope and confidence rather than pity. Slowly, he began to understand that the key to helping the twins was not in doing everything for them, but in empowering them to try, to struggle, and to feel that even the smallest effort was an achievement. Margaret, however, remained distant. The guilt she carried weighed her down like a heavy cloak. She avoided the nursery, claiming exhaustion, yet William knew the truth: she was terrified. The thought of raising twins who would never walk filled her with a constant, gnawing fear. She could not bear to face their limitations, and instead retreated into herself, leaving William to navigate the emotional storm alone. It was Lily, once again, who bridged the gap. Her calm voice, steady hands, and unwavering patience slowly coaxed both the twins and their parents out of the shadows of despair. One afternoon, William arrived to find Lily arranging a series of small obstacles on the floor for the twins to practice pushing themselves up and moving around. She had laid soft pillows, colorful toys, and even mirrors so the babies could see their own reflections as they tried to reach for objects. Her ingenuity left him astonished. "Why do you do all this?" he asked quietly, afraid to disturb the careful balance of her work. Lily looked up at him, her eyes steady and warm. "Because they need to know they are capable," she said simply. "No one else will teach them that unless we do." The words lingered in his mind long after he left the nursery. That night, William found himself lying awake, imagining what life could be like if he truly stepped in, not just as a provider, but as a father who understood and cared. The next morning, he returned, determined to participate more actively. He tried to mimic Lily's techniques, guiding the twins' legs, supporting their arms, and speaking to them as if they were already walking. At first, the babies resisted, their small bodies uncooperative, but gradually, under the patient encouragement of both William and Lily, they began small movements that were nothing short of miraculous. Margaret noticed the change, though she refused to admit it. She watched from a distance, her eyes misting over as she saw William laugh with the twins for the first time, holding their hands as they wobbled in his support. She saw Lily kneeling beside him, whispering encouragement, and felt a pang of gratitude mixed with guilt. Could she have doubted her maid all these years? Could she have underestimated the power of love that came not from wealth, but from a heart willing to give everything without expecting anything in return? One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, William sat on the nursery floor with the twins in his lap. He lifted one tiny leg, then the other, and encouraged the babies to push themselves forward. "Come on, you can do it," he whispered, his own voice trembling. For a moment, nothing happened, and he feared disappointment, but then, almost imperceptibly, one of the twins wiggled her toes and lifted her hips. Lily's soft exclamation of encouragement echoed in the room. Margaret, standing quietly in the doorway, felt tears stream down her cheeks. She asked herself a question that she could not answer aloud: could they truly have hope after all? It was in that moment that William realized the depth of what Lily had been doing all along. She was not just caring for the babies, she was teaching them, believing in them, and creating a foundation of strength that no therapy alone could provide. Her methods were unconventional, simple, yet profound. She spoke to the twins as if they were capable of anything, never allowing them, or their parents, to succumb to despair. Word of her dedication reached even the most skeptical corners of the household. Staff who had once seen Lily as merely a maid began to treat her with newfound respect. Doctors who visited for checkups were astonished at the subtle progress the twins were making. Tiny movements that should have taken months to achieve were appearing in weeks. William, observing it all, felt a mixture of awe and humility. For the first time in his life, he understood that true power did not come from wealth, authority, or influence, it came from the heart. That night, as William watched Lily hum to the twins while Margaret slept, he realized something extraordinary. The person who had been overlooked, underestimated, and often taken for granted was now the pillar holding his family together. And he began to wonder, what else was she capable of doing that could completely change their lives? The thought was both thrilling and terrifying, and he knew that whatever it was, it would shake the very foundation of everything he had believed about love, care, and the miraculous potential of the human heart. Weeks had passed, and William found himself transformed. The cold, calculating businessman who had once measured life in contracts and deals was now a father deeply invested in the lives of his daughters. Yet, despite the progress, a shadow lingered over the household. Margaret remained cautious, hesitant to embrace hope fully, and the twins, though making small strides, were still confined to the limitations of their paralysis. William worried constantly, tossing and turning at night, haunted by the thought that he might not be able to protect or help them as he had always done with everything else in life. One evening, after a particularly long day, William returned home to find the nursery unusually quiet. Curious and slightly uneasy, he pushed open the door and froze. There, in the soft glow of the bedside lamp, he saw Lily sitting cross-legged on the floor with the twins in her lap. They were laughing, squealing with joy, and moving in ways William had never seen before. The babies were lifting their tiny torsos, pushing themselves up with their arms, and even attempting to scoot forward. William blinked, certain he was seeing a trick of the light, or perhaps an exaggeration born from his own desperate hope. "Lily, what's happening?" he asked, his voice trembling. Lily looked up at him, calm and composed, yet her eyes sparkled with quiet triumph. "I've been working with them every day, William. I've been encouraging every movement, every small effort. Their bodies are responding to their determination, and their hearts. But, they're moving," William whispered, awe breaking through his disbelief. "How is this possible? The doctors said it would take months, maybe years, some said it might never happen." Lily smiled softly. "Sometimes, people underestimate the power of belief. The twins believe they can do it. They've felt my encouragement, your love, and they are showing us what miracles look like when you never give up." Margaret appeared in the doorway, silent tears streaming down her face. She approached cautiously, almost afraid to touch the babies. "Is this real?" she asked, her voice shaking. Lily nodded. "Yes, Margaret. They are more capable than anyone gave them credit for. They just needed to feel that they could try." William knelt beside the babies, lifting one gently. He encouraged her to push with her tiny arms, whispering words of support. Slowly, almost painstakingly, the baby pushed herself forward, a movement so small it could have been missed, yet so monumental it left him speechless. Margaret joined in, lifting the other twin, and together, the family witnessed the impossible. It was at that moment that William realized the full weight of what Lily had done. She had devoted herself tirelessly, not because it was her job, but because she believed in the potential of these children when no one else would. Her dedication had unlocked a miracle that medicine alone could not provide. William felt an overwhelming mix of gratitude, awe, and humility. He wanted to say something, to thank her, to honor her for what she had done, but words felt inadequate. Then, Lily did something even more astonishing. She took the twins one by one and guided them to stand, yes, stand, against her hands. They wobbled precariously, their small legs shaking with effort, but they stood. William's heart pounded in his chest. I can't believe this," he said, tears welling in his eyes. This is a miracle." Lily shook her head, her expression serene yet proud. "Not a miracle, William. Just love, patience, and belief. The miracles were always inside them. I just helped them see it." William felt a lump in his throat. He had always believed that power, money, and control could change the world, yet here was a woman, quiet, unassuming, often overlooked, who had achieved something he had thought impossible. And then a sudden realization struck him, one that made his heart skip a beat. If Lily could do this for the twins, what other impossible acts of love and courage was she capable of? He watched as the babies took tiny, trembling steps while Lily supported them, and he knew, in that moment, that his life had irrevocably changed. He could no longer view her as merely a maid, nor could he continue living as the distant, detached man he had once been. She had shown him what true strength, true devotion, and true love looked like, and in doing so, she had awakened something in him that he had never known existed. Margaret approached Lily and whispered, her voice choked with emotion, "You've given our daughters a gift we never thought possible." Lily only smiled and shook her head. "I didn't give them anything they didn't already have. I just reminded them, and what love can do." William sank to his knees beside the babies, his arms shaking as he held them close. He felt an overwhelming need to protect, nurture, and cherish them, and he also felt an unfamiliar stirring of admiration, respect, and, something deeper, for Lily. Her unwavering courage, her boundless love, and her ability to believe in the impossible had transformed his family, his marriage, and his heart. And as he looked at her, he realized that the woman who had always been in the background of his life was now its most luminous center. That night, as the twins slept peacefully, exhausted from their tiny triumphs, William stayed by the nursery, watching Lily tidy the room. He wondered silently, how had he spent so many years blind to the strength of someone who was right in front of him? How could he have ever thought that wealth, influence, or power could achieve what her heart had accomplished? And deep in his chest, he felt a profound certainty that his life, and perhaps even his love, would never be the same again. The days following the twins' first attempts at movement were unlike anything William had ever experienced. The mansion, once a silent fortress of wealth and perfection, now echoed with laughter, tiny footsteps, and the soft hum of hope. William, Margaret, and Lily had become a team, each playing an irreplaceable role in nurturing the twins' growth. William found himself spending hours in the nursery, holding, guiding, and cheering the girls, while Margaret slowly learned to embrace hope, witnessing her daughter's determination and courage. Lily remained the steady heart of the household. She woke before dawn to prepare exercises, gentle stretches, and games that encouraged the twins to strengthen their muscles. She sang to them, told stories, and even created small adventures on the nursery floor, using pillows, toys, and imagination to teach them balance and coordination. Each small step forward felt monumental, and the joy on William and Margaret's faces grew with every accomplishment. One afternoon, William was sitting on the floor with the twins when he noticed something extraordinary. The girls, once reliant entirely on Lily or him for movement, had begun to respond to each other. They held hands, encouraged each other, and even shared laughter at small successes. William felt tears sting his eyes. Here were his daughters, born paralyzed, now discovering strength and joy in ways he had never imagined possible. And all of it was because of Lily's unwavering dedication and belief in them. Margaret approached quietly, her eyes glistening. "I never thought we'd see this," she whispered, watching the twins attempt their first coordinated movement together. "I never thought they'd fight, try, and succeed." William reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "It's because of her," he said, nodding toward Lily. "Not because of me, not because of medicine, not because of hope alone, it's because Lily believed in them when we couldn't." Lily smiled softly, a gentle warmth in her gaze. "They had the strength all along. My job was just to show them the way and remind them that love can move mountains." Over the following months, the twins' progress continued. Their legs grew stronger, their movements more confident, and their spirits brighter. Doctors were amazed, telling William and Margaret that they had never seen children with similar conditions show such determination and progress. Yet William knew the truth. It wasn't just determination, it was the unwavering devotion, patience, and love of a woman who refused to see the impossible as final. Lily had changed the lives of the twins, their parents, and even William himself. One evening, after the twins had finally managed to take a few steps with Lily's support, William asked her to sit beside him in the nursery. The room was quiet, filled only with the soft giggles of the girls. He looked at her with a mix of awe and gratitude. "Lily, you've done more than anyone could ever imagine," he said. "You didn't just help my daughters, you changed me, Margaret, and our entire family. I can't even begin to describe how grateful I am." Lily's expression remained calm, her eyes warm. "You don't need to thank me, William. I've always believed in them, in you, and in love. That's all that matters." But William couldn't let it go. "No, I must," he said, his voice firm. "I want everyone to know what you've done. You've given these girls a chance at life, at happiness, at independence. You've done something no amount of money, no influence, and no privilege could ever accomplish." Margaret, sitting beside him, reached out to touch Lily's hand. "We owe you everything," she said softly, tears in her eyes. "You gave our daughters the gift of hope, the gift of strength, and the gift of love." The twins, as if sensing the gravity of the moment, crawled toward Lily and wrapped their tiny arms around her neck. She laughed softly, holding them close. William watched, feeling a profound humility settle over him. He realized that the richest experiences in life were not measured by wealth, titles, or power, but by the depth of love, courage, and devotion one could give to another. In the weeks that followed, William made a promise, to himself, to Margaret, and to Lily, that he would never underestimate the power of a heart willing to fight, nurture, and believe. He began to participate fully in the twins' lives, not just financially, but emotionally. He spent time learning exercises, reading stories, and supporting their growth. Margaret, too, gradually shed her fears and guilt, embracing joy, hope, and gratitude. Lily, however, remained modest, never seeking recognition or reward. Her greatest satisfaction came from seeing the twins' tiny triumphs, their smiles, and their laughter. She had proven that love could achieve what money, influence, and fear could not. And for William, the lesson was unforgettable: the most profound miracles often come from unexpected places and ordinary hearts. The family gathered one evening in the nursery, the twins sitting proudly in their little chairs, holding hands and smiling. William, Margaret, and Lily sat around them, watching in silent awe. The babies had grown stronger, happier, and more resilient than anyone had dared to imagine. William took a deep breath, feeling gratitude and humility wash over him. He knew that this family, this bond, and this love would remain unshakable, forged not by wealth or privilege, but by the courage, patience, and heart of a woman who refused to give up. And as he looked at Lily, holding the twins close and whispering softly to them, William felt something he had never felt before: an admiration, a respect, and a quiet love that transcended titles, money, and power. In that moment, he understood that the true measure of a life well lived was not wealth or fame, but the ability to touch hearts, transform lives, and create miracles where others saw none. The twins had learned to walk, to laugh, and to hope, and in doing so, they had taught William and Margaret the same lesson: miracles were possible, love was powerful, and hearts devoted to others could change the world. And at the center of it all was Lily, the woman whose courage, patience, and unwavering faith had made the impossible possible.